What up, gamers? Barnes here. Merry Christmas to everybody. It's early Christmas morning here. I've seen a lot of the old YouTubers around asking where people are, and people are making videos again. I still, see Onion Kid in the comments there, and Derek came around lately. Tim Sam Y7 was asking where people are in a meme. Anders out there again posting. DM Johnny's out there, and so I figured I've been jonesing to play, and there's been a lot of D&D talk lately. So I figured I'd get back on the YouTubes and start talking games again. Today's video is going to do something I normally don't do. It's going to be kind of like a show and tell. And basically what we're going to look at is my D&D 3rd edition 3.5 Pathfinder 1 shelf. And this is pretty much it. I don't know if I've... Alright, yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, that's it. And so I play different games, or I would like to. At least I'm open to playing different games. But D&D 3.5, 3E, Pathfinder 1 is my favorite edition of D&D. And I like it because it's very modular. There's 20,000 rules minutia, right? And there's a bunch of different versions of that rules minutia, and I can ignore them all. I can choose one of the options that is pre-written by several different companies, or I can just ignore it and play it like first edition. So without any further ado, I'm just going to go through this really quick. And this is kind of the basic D&D 3.5 stuff, right? Not much to talk about there. Same thing with the second shelf. It's pretty much just regular D&D 3.5. There's a couple Arcana Unearthed here, Monty Cook's game. It's kind of like a Pathfinder, but made by Monty Cook. Then I got the PF1 shelf here. Some Dreamscarred Press, Psionics, and Path of the Warrior. This one's just kind of mixed. And I collected these books for different reasons. Sometimes I was just looking for something. Here we have Noble Knights, right, by Avalanche Press, I believe, right? And this is just a bunch of knight orders, medieval knight orders, mostly holy. A lot of stuff looks like it's not very balanced game mechanic wise, but it's still cool. Then we have Noble Steeds, right? And this is just variations on horses, right? Just slight variations, different breeds from real life. Avalanche Press does a lot of real life inspired stuff. They have a bunch of books. I have a few. I'm interested in getting more, but what are you gonna do? This is Mordred, right? So this was this is actually a module, right? An adventure, and King Arthur's gone crazy and Mordred's the good guy. Everything's flipped in this. And I got this because I'm a big King Arthur fan, and there wasn't a lot of stuff made for 3rd edition 3.5 or Pathfinder that was King Arthur. I have, I think, 3 things. I'll show them to you there in this. If you guys know of any other King Arthur related 3rd edition 3.5 or Pathfinder 1st edition stuff, let me know. I'll check it out. Alchemy and Herbs, Herbalist. This book has a lot of herbs in it, really. I like herbs and alchemy, and it seems like 3rd edition really kind of lacked on that. It had some of it, and so this brings a little bit more into it. And it's one of the things I was looking for one time, alchemical mixtures for the game and herbs for the game. And so I bought this one. And this is bought to you by Bastion Press, right? And let's see. Empire. Alright, so this is by AEG, right? I think it's Aldrich Entertainment Games or something, I can't remember. And I got this because the noble class, or the aristocrat, or the royal, whatever you want to call it, is one of my favorite classes in role-playing games, and D&D 3rd edition really lacked that, or 3.5 Pathfinder, so I got this at some point to look for at. This one's pretty much the same thing. This has some war rules in it. That might have war rules. I can't remember. Again, this stuff is, it's not exactly the most balanced stuff, but another thing I look for is knights, because they're like lesser nobles. That's another one of my favorite classes, and so I got that one. Tournaments, fairs, and taverns. And this is by Mystic Eye Games. They made some decent stuff. This is not my favorite one of them, but it's just to look at different games and tournaments, taverns, menus, drinks, right? Different types of food. A lot of cultural stuff in here. And I wouldn't say it's a bad book. I guess I liked reading it. It's a little, goofy for me, but whatever. Broadsides. And this is brought to you by Living Imagination Incorporated. And I collected a lot of their stuff because they have a lot of rituals in it, and I thought that rituals was an underused aspect of the game in 3rd edition, 3.5, and Pathfinder. I'm not even sure if Pathfinder 1st edition even introduced them, but they were in 3rd and 3.5, and they didn't present that many of them. So, this particular company, rituals play a bigger role in their campaign world, and, some naval combat. I was looking for naval combats, too. So that's why I got this. This is along the same lines. This is Charge by Living Imagination. I think there's a Monarch class in here or something. It's along the same lines. I was looking for knight classes and nobles and mass battle rules. Even though I've never really ran any mass battles. This is Agents of Faith, Crusaders of God. Same thing. I was looking for rituals, and I enjoy reading about the Crusades and studying the Crusades. So Crusades and faith usually play a big part in my games. This one's Spellbound, right? This is a Codex of Ritual Magic. So this is just all rituals, different types of rituals for 3rd edition, 3.5. And I like it. It's got some quirky kind of, I guess you would call it a spell component that they use. I forget what it's called. But they have like one basic, like mana unit kind of. This is Legends of Excalibur, right? And this was for 3.5 by Charles Rice. It was put out by RPG Objects. And this book I love because it came out with a lot of different ideas, similar to like an Unearthed Arcana that I hadn't seen before in 3rd edition. So there would be, class like social classes, right? You get a different starting social class. It's got nobility here as a alternative to kind of alignment. It's got destiny and fate, which is I don't know how to explain that, but basically your characters choose a fate and you have a destiny for them, and every time they use the fate you can use the destiny against them. And it's kind of like action points in Spycraft, if anybody's familiar with that. There's a lot of things in here. Presents mana, right, and spell points instead of advancing levels. It's got a fool in it, so I like the fool and gesture classes. That was something else that was pretty much overlooked in 3.5, and it's more of a historical role-playing type game, even though King Arthur is not necessarily historical, but it's based in the real world, and it's more of a medieval fantasy type of game. Less high fantasy, I guess, And I really enjoyed this. It was a good read. I never really got to use much of it because I bought it after I stopped playing, but I highly recommend that one if you're into that kind of low magic stuff. This is Monty Coxeter's Best. This one had a bunch of different stuff in it. They only did 1 year, so I don't know what that was about. There only is volume 1. I don't think there is a volume 2. I'm sure everybody ran that out and got that, but I'm not sure what year it's from. The Book of Iron Might. This had a lot of cool stuff. This is pretty much where maneuvers came from for Pathfinder. It's a little different. It's by Mike Merles. It was produced by Sword and Sorcery, Malhavoc Press. And Mike Merles is into like robot creatures for some reason. I don't know why. At least he was at this time. I'm not a big fan of that. But the maneuvers part is really cool. I like that. Requiem from Gods, about what happens when a god dies. There's a lot of good ideas in here. I'm not sure if I would necessarily use any of the crunch, but there's a lot of good ideas. And I think you could put this into a campaign and do pretty well with it. It's written by Monty Cook, so it's fairly well balanced. You know, who's one of the writers of 3rd edition 3.5, so that was a good one. It's an event book, I think they're called. Mal Havoc, right? Cry Havoc, right? This is by Skip Williams, another one of the co-authors of 3rd edition. And this is about mass battles. I didn't think it was that great, but that's what it's about. It presents some new classes and new feats that I don't, really have much use for. But as far as 3rd edition, which is what I believe this is written for, it was pretty good for the time. That's one of the ones I kept for some reason. I've lost a lot of books over the years and gained some. Book of Hallowed Might is Divine Source Magic, so it's just kind of like a unearthed Arcanics, particularly for Divine casters. It's written by Monty Cook, so it's fairly well balanced. It's by Sword and Sorcery Press, Mal Havoc Press, Sword and Sorcery Studios, Mal Havoc Press. This is Book of Hallowed Might 2, Portents and Visions. This is by Mike Merles and Monty Cook, same press company, same studio, and it's basically a continuation. It's a source book, like another Unearthed Arcana for clerics and druids, divine casters. This is Iron Heroes. Now, Iron Heroes is kind of like a game onto its own. It's 3.5, 3rd edition compatible. It's low magic and grittier. It presents new base classes, a new system of magic. It's got some magic rules in here that I like. It uses mana points instead of advancing at levels. There's a lot of good ideas in here, and that's pretty much why I bought it, because I enjoy more of that style of play. I don't really like D&D 3.5 as it's written exactly. This is Collected Book of Experimental Might. This is by Monty Cook again. Havoc Press. Sword and Sorcery Press. Pazio, right? Produced one. And there's a lot of good stuff in here. There's wound points, and I think he calls them... he doesn't call them vitality, but he's got different ideas for that in here. Vigor points, whatever you want to call them. I think he calls them grace points, wound and grace points. And he's got some good ideas for that in here. He makes it more into like a resource where you can use it to like run faster for a while, or aim in on somebody. I recommend that one. That one's pretty good. It's got a lot of different options. It's an Arcana all based around martial fighting, really. There's not a lot of magic in here or anything like that. Complete Book of Eldritch Might. This is another kind of a Unearthed Arcana for arcane spellcasters. It's produced by Monty Cook, so it's fairly well balanced. I haven't had too much use for it, but there's some cool stuff in there. This is Game of Thrones D20 based open gaming RPG. It's by Sword and Sorcery Studios. It was put out by Guardians of the Order Incorporated. I don't think they exist anymore. This has noble classes. It's got what else? It's got noble. It's got an alternative bard, which I like because I'm not a big fan of bards. And it's got an alternative pretty much to all the classes. I forget what they call rogues in here. But it's got some good alternative stuff, right? And it's more of a grittier game, less magic. I didn't even see any magic in there, which is kind of part of the reason why I bought it. I was curious to how they handled magic in this. But the other stuff I enjoy, right? It's got a different type of scoundrel. I forget what they're called. Where are we? We did that. And then we're down here, right? So this is, let's see, this is kind of unusual. Path of the War is like a continuation of, what the hell is that book called? From 3rd edition. It basically gives martial powers to people that are similar to spells. The heck was it? Book of the Nine Swords. It's like a continuation of the Book of the Nine Swords. It's produced by Dreamscard Press. I'd drag it out, but it's a pain in the ass to get back in there. It presents different classes, to go along with that system. There's like a Crusader class similar to what you had in Book of Nine Swords, and it might be a little out of balance. I'm not sure. These guys also got the go-ahead to do Ultimate Psionics, and I think that was written pretty well. It's got a couple add-ons. This one's about psionics and the undead or spirits. Right, this one's Seventh Path. But the Ultimate Psionics book, I thought that was pretty good. Actually, Tetsuba recommended that, and I checked it out, and I liked it. And they have a little bestiary, right? Psionic bestiary, right? They produced that before Occult Adventures came out. And then down here, Mongoose Ships of War. This actually wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but whatever. Crusades, more about Crusades and Gaming Crusades. I think it presents some prestige classes. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but it was interesting, I guess. Quintessential Monk. Buddy gave me that. I'm not a big Monk fan. He is, but, you know. I have 2 of these. I'd be open to getting more. They're not really game balance written that well, but whatever. Quintessential Witch. Again, I was looking for examples of the Witch class, which is why I got Arcana Evolved, Arcana Unearthed, right? And I was looking for variations of the Witch class, and so I got this. I thought this was a good read. I don't know how well any of this stuff would work in game. It had a bunch of editing errors, but nonetheless, I liked reading it for some reason. I thought, I think it's by Robert Law. All right. No, it's by Robin Schwab. That's it. Anyway, I liked reading it. Heroes of Fantasy. So this presents a bunch of new base classes. Alchemist. I don't really like the Pathfinder Alchemist, so that's one thing. Pathfinder Alchemist kind of seems like it took out the component part and looking for herbs and stuff. That was similar to first edition. Artificer, which is now, 5th edition, well known. Assassin as a base class. Avenger, I can't remember. Kabbalist. Charismatic. Crusader. I'm always looking for Crusader things. Eldritch Vampire. I don't even remember that. Exorcist. I think that there's a Prestige class Exorcist, but this is base class. I think normal D&D had an Exorcist Prestige class. But this is a base class. Explorer. Fool. Again, I'm always looking for Jesters and Fools. Gladiator. Heads Wizard, which, another thing I'm into. Knights. Mercenary, Noble, and Pirates. That's why I picked that one up. Ultimate Equipment Guide by Mongoose, right, Press. This is the first edition. They had a lot of alchemy stuff and herbs, so that's why I picked this one up, because I like to include that stuff in my games. This is the same thing. This is the second volume. I got that for the same reason. Strongholds and Dynasties. This is kind of like a book about castles, right? And realms. And it's got some mass combat rules in the back. The classic play books are probably the best ones by Mongoose. The earlier ones seem way out of balance, but whatever. They seem poorly written, and it doesn't seem like they present much game balance, but that's that. Classic play Book of the Sea. Same thing. Mongoose. Classic play The Plains. I like this one a lot. It presents a different cosmology of planes. It seems to be based a little bit more off of Christian medieval beliefs. And it, combines hell and heaven and presents purgatory, a few other things. And it's by Gareth Hannaran. It's a good Irish name. I like a lot of his work, and his other games. Book of Hell, and this goes along with classic play The Plains, and this presents a different hell where all the lower planes are combined into one. And I actually like the idea a lot. I've been doing that anyway, so I picked this up, and it was pretty good. I actually read most of it straight through. What else we got here? Noble's Handbook, because I've been looking for variations of Noble. That's by Green Ronin Press. That was written by Rodney Thompson. I thought it was kind of subpar, but there might be a couple good ideas in there. The Witch's Handbook. This had some stuff again. Had some herbs, and I was just looking for variations on the witch class. And Medieval Player's Manual by David Chart. It's got a lot of good ideas. It's a very different style of magic and play. I'm not sure about game balance on this either. And this was put out for either 3rd edition or 3.5, I'm not sure. But it's got different variation in core classes. I think there's a Fool in here, Cunning Man, Natural Magician, Thurge, Theophantist, Necromancer, right? New systems for astrology, charms, alchemy. So that's why I picked that up. And I enjoy more of a medieval, realistic game to it compared to a high fantasy game. Pagan Paths, what is this? The Pantheon, right? So this presents a new pantheon of gods for Hunt the Rise of Evil, produced by Mystic Eye Games. And I picked it up because I was looking at, it's got some variations on the Witch class, I believe, or the Warlock. Right, and that's why I picked it up. There's the Shaman. That's another class I like to look for alternatives to. Yeah, it had a witch class in it, so that's why I picked it up. Fields of Blood, the Book of War, and this is a book about running mass combats and running a kingdom. This was produced by Eden Studios, right? And one of the authors is the now famous YouTuber Matt Colville. There he is. Yep, he had a lot to do with that. And these guys were based by me, and I just had no clue about them at the time when they were relevant. Book of Righteousness. This is a whole pantheon of gods. This is a really well thought out pantheon of gods, I thought. Not that I would use it, but if you're into like a pantheon of gods, this one was pretty good. It's pretty, you could stick it into anything. It was made by Green Ronin Press. It has presents some new prestige classes and ideas, but it's a really thorough look at this pantheon, really. The Way of the Witch, right? This is all about the witch class. And I don't know how many of these really sold, but it was interesting. It presents some different things about cubbies and a different variation on the witch classes, and it's a little bit more. It's got like white magic, black magic, things like that. So it's a little more based in reality that way. The Tome of Horrors complete. So this is Tome of Horrors 1, 2, and 3 in one volume. This book was actually kind of expensive. It's a pretty thick book. It's a little bit more old school. It was written for Pathfinder. A lot of death saves, I remember. Took a lot of first edition stuff. There's a lot of old. This is about 800 pages. A lot of stuff in first edition and other places. It presents a bunch of demon princes and things of that nature. I know there's an Orcus right up in there for Pathfinder. I'm not sure if Pathfinder ever did an Orcus right up, but that one's got one. And like I said, it's you could use that for an entire campaign. It's got a bunch of stuff in there. This stuff you're probably familiar with. This is this little thin one here. That's basically a rogues gallery, kind of like the NPC Codex, the own codex for psionics. Dreamscarred Press. This stuff you guys probably know. These are Mongoose monster encyclopedias, and I collected the monster stuff because I was looking for different types of hags. This is the same deal. The Liber Bestius, and that's also by Eden Press, and YouTuber Matt Colville also helped write that one. Now we have the Sword and Sorcery Studios by White Wolf. And here's the creature catalog for 3rd edition. This is the 3.5 creature catalog. Creature catalog 2, which they never converted to 3.5. Maybe it is. I can't remember. Creature catalog 3. Book of Fiends here. And this one is, it's all demons and devils and daemons, whatever you want to call them. And it, produces stats for them. Not sure if this one has Satan in it or Lucifer, but it might. Definitely has the Iblis, right, from Muslim belief or Islamic belief. He's in there. This is Advanced Beastry Guide, right? Advanced Beastry. This is for Pathfinder. This was put out by Green Ronin, and it's nothing but templates for monsters. They had one for 3rd edition as well, right here. And it's the same thing. There's a few changes. Advanced Game Master's Guide. This is like a Unearthed Arcana for 3.5. That's basically why I had it. Then we get into some penumbra stuff, right? This is Crime and Punishment. And it presents some different classes and things having to do with crime and punishment. I know the bounty hunters in here. Love and War. This is by David Chart, the guy who wrote the Medieval Guide. And this bunch of different knights, right, and chivalry codes and different types of knights. But it's alright, I like it. Dynasties and Demagogues, right, this is about running a kingdom and all that stuff. Penumbra has, they use all open source art, right, for the most part. So you'll see a lot of older sketches and drawings and things. Characters in politics, fantasy races, political settings, adventures in politics. I like political games, so that's why I got this. This is another Penumbra. This one, Cult Lore. This is an all different type of like arcane casting. And it's a little bit more based on real life, I guess. There's alchemy, astrology, elementalism, geomancy, herbalism, magical imagination. I don't know what the hell that is. Ornancy, right? That's like dream magic, rational magic. I think that's math. Spirited cultivation, sympathetic mage. So yeah, this presents all new different magic systems. I think there might be a computer class in there. The Divine and Defeated, that's Scarred Lands by Sword and Sorcery, produced by White Wolf. Relics and Rituals, Lost Lore, got that because of the rituals and the spells, I guess, but mostly for the rituals, that too. Advanced Player's Guide by Green Ronin. Again, this is like an Unearthed Arcana. I recommend that one. And this is Sword and Sorcery Advanced Player Guide. Again, it's like an Unearthed Arcana. It's got Speed Factor in here. It's one of the things I use out of it. Affects your initiative, how fast your weapon is. It's got a bunch of different variations. It said it could be used 3 or 3 or 5. I'm sure you can use it with Pathfinder. I do. And it's another type of Unearthed Arcana. This was an accidental buy, but I'm glad I got it because it presents baby hags, and this is about Hornsaw Forest of Blood. It's just about a region in the Scarred Lands, and it was an accidental buy, but I don't mind it. And last we have Relics and Ritual Excalibur. This is more of a fantasy type of take at the Camelot legend, and it has 2 different routes, one that's a little bit more fantasy, one that's less. And a lot of the magic in here I like. The spells are subtle, and I prefer more subtle magic. I think there's a couple of variation on prestige classes and base classes in here. I think the Knight, Enchantress, right? So some alternatives to races, player races, right? Houndmaster, the Green Knight. Anyway, so that's that one. I'm hitting up a half hour here. And I just wanted to share my bookshelf with you. And if anybody has any questions about any of these books and would like to see me do a video about them, I'll be more than willing to try to get that out for you. And I just wanted to make my way back into the old YouTube realm of RPGs. And I hope that everyone's doing well. And have yourself a Merry Christmas. Talk to you soon. Later.